Lecture number 5. These are the elements that we are going to discuss today, inshallah, in this lecture. As you have seen, we start with some vocabulary and you have to know their meanings. Basics, for example, the most important things, okay? Generation, a single state in a family history. In the exam you are going to be asked about the meanings of these words. Here we have other words, okay? Picnic, for example, number 13, a short journey with food. I might ask you a question. In a given sentence, I mentioned the word picnic. The word picnic means A, a short journey with food, B, a long journey with food, C, a trip to America, for example, D, and so on and so forth. You have to choose one of these four answers, A, B, C, or D. I speak English fluently, and Reem does too, of course, the answer. My, marriage, package, garage, average in this term is 84.3. This means that the answer is to be D, my average, okay, because I'm talking about marks. Number 3, all members in families were living in one house. If we have only one house, this means that we are talking about traditional families, not nuclear one, not rich one, not bad one. Traditional is the correct answer. The question about the meanings of words might be in this way as well. So we have two possibilities: to be given about the meaning directly, or to be given the word and to know its meaning through knowing the correct answer in the gap. So I will ask you about the vocabulary in this way, or the other way, where you might be asked about the meaning of the word directly. Simple present. Verb tense expresses the time of an event or action. Time and how it is expressed in writing is very important to English readers. The English language has 12 different tenses. In this section, we will review the meaning of each verb tense. The simple present tense. In general, we use present simple tense if we are talking about habits. If we are talking about something that you always do. If we are talking about facts. If, for example, I always go to my university, in this case, in this sense, the present simple is to be used. So I say, I always go to my university at 7 o'clock. So I use the verb go, which is in the present simple, because I'm talking about something that I regularly do. Or if I'm talking about facts, it is a fact that water boils at 100, for example, degree. So I say, water boils, where boil is indeed in the present simple. Also, in the simple present, we always use adverbs of frequency, like always, often, never, and so on and so forth. And with the main verbs, they do precede them. For example, if I say, I go to my university at 7 o'clock, and I want to use one of the adverbs of frequency like always precedes go, so I say, I always go to my university at 7 o'clock. Adverbs of frequency such as often, seldom, sometimes, never, and so on and so forth could be used with the present, and they do precede the present simple verbs. Notice, this is a good example. She goes to work every day. Every day. So we use present simple, and they always eat lunch together. Notice that always precedes the verb eat. use the simple present tense to tell about things that happen again and again, as I have just said. I always go to my university at 7 o'clock. Something that happens again and again and again. Americans eat turkey on Thanksgiving. Something that happens again and again and again. So we notice that we have used the verb eat, which is in the present tense. Also, simple present tense, this tense also expresses general truths or facts that are timeless. Like the example I have just given, once I talk about water, it boils. I use present. At, for example, 100 degrees, snow. It is a fact. Falls in the December, for example, so we have used snow falls, not fell. Okay? Water boils, the example that I have just given to you. Again, I just would like to make it very clear. All my questions will be from these examples, from what I write in the recorded sessions. All of my questions will be from what I write in the recorded lectures and what I say in the lectures. This is another example where present is to be used with facts. Triangles have 3 sides. Okay, it's a fact. Triangles have 3 sides. Have. I do not use a verb which is in the past, for example. Daily custom or customs. She usually works on her basket after dinner. It is a custom. As it is a custom, the verb is to be in the present simple tense. He usually drinks tea after a meal. It is a custom. So, drink is in the present tense, and of course it takes the suffix s because it is preceded by one of the third person singulars, which is he, and I used one of the adverbs of frequency, which is usually, and usually comes before the verb, before the main verb, which is drinks. I couldn't say he drinks usually. It is to be he usually drinks tea. Notice this important note, you might be asked about it, whether the adverb of frequency usually comes after or before the main verb in an example like the one I have just illustrated. They go to a dance every Sunday. Every Sunday, it's a custom. So go is used, not went. Negative statements, don't and doesn't. With they, you, we, don't is to be used. Or I. I don't like smoking. They do not like smoking. We do not like smoking. You don't like smoking. But if he, she, and it are used as subject pronouns, I say he doesn't like. She doesn't like. It doesn't like. If we're talking about informal writing or speaking, notice that contractions are used. Don't. Doesn't. These are other examples of the type I have just mentioned. Thus, as I say, with the third person singulars, he, she, and it, do with the rest. In order to make questions, do and does as well are used. They do not. They, for example, like to go to America. Do they like to? Do is used in order to make the question by locating do before the subject. But if the subject is he, or she, or it, does is used. For example, I say he doesn't like football. For example, or he likes football. Does he like football? The cat likes milk. Does the cat like milk? Present simple form. To think, present simple. I think. You think. He, she, it thinks. We think. You think. Okay? Do I think? Do you think? Notice that I make question by do, but I make the question by does once we have he, she, or it. If I want to make them negative, I don't, you don't, it doesn't, he doesn't, she doesn't, we don't, you don't. Okay? These are examples. Write the questions for the following answers. You might be given an answer. I want you to give me the question. I work in a bank. Do you work in a bank? Okay? For example. Notice, third person singulars, spelling and pronunciation. Put an S or ES ending on third person. He need becomes he needs when it is preceded by he. So I say he needs a shirt. She wants an apple. It catches the stick. Notice, which is very important. In all of these three examples, I used S. But the S is pronounced differently, in different ways. If the S is preceded by a sound called voiced, such as the D, you notice that it is pronounced as Z. So I say he needs. Though I write S, but the S is pronounced as Z because it is preceded by a sound called voiced sound. But the S becomes S as it is when it is preceded by a voiceless sound like T, so I say he wants. But once the S is preceded by sha or ja or another sound, it is pronounced as is. So I say it catches. It catches the stick. Notice, this is the most important thing. If he, she, and it are used, and the verb is in the present, we have to add S to the verb. So he won't. Once want is preceded by he, it becomes he wants. They want, but he wants. They want, but she wants. They want, but it wants. With he, she, and it, the verb has to have the suffix S. Notice here, fix, it ends with S. So the S, the other S is pronounced as Z, so he fixes. As I said, if we have please, we have already an S. If we have to add another S, the other S is pronounced as IZ. So he pleases. So he pleases. He fixes. If the word ends with sha or ja, also if I add S, it is pronounced as IZ. So it pushes. It pushes. He passes, because the other S is preceded by another S. The word is he passes. Okay, pass. If I add S and it's preceded by he, it becomes he passes. So I say is because it is preceded by another S or another sha. Okay. She catches. But he goes. But if the word is ended by Y, the third changes the Y to IES. If I have a word like fly, it flies, because it is one of the third person singular pronouns. So I change the Y into IES. This is the spelling. Cry, we omit the Y and we add IE instead. So it becomes cries. It is written in this way. So in the exam, I might ask you about this. I might give you a word like cry, and I ask you to use it with sentences that have one of the third person singulars like he, she, and it. So I might say he then he and I give you 4 answers. He cries, written in this way, in the way mentioned here, or he cries adding s after the y. You have to know that if the word ends up with y, I have to change the y into ies. This is the correct answer. But if there's a vowel before the y, like play, I just add the s. So he plays. Pray, he prays. I do not make it ies. Please notice this. Notice, have becomes has if it is preceded by he or she or it. So I say he has a new shirt. Do becomes does if it is with he, she and it. She does the work, or he does the work. Okay? Go becomes goes. He goes to school. He goes to school. With he, she and it. With he, she and it, the have becomes has, the do becomes does, and the verb, main verb like go or eat or whatsoever it is, it becomes goes, just adding the s. Here I gave you an example for the word scanning, for scanning and scheming. Okay, notice we have the underlying word which is ones. Families in almost every country are changing. This is true in rich countries and poor ones. Ones refer to the word countries, of course. You might be asked about it. The underlined word ones refers to families, countries, children, or Americas. Of course, it is countries. If you refer back to the example, you will see that ones refer to countries, but not any other thing. Okay? The rest of the examples are the same. These are examples. I hope you can do them at home. Inshallah, I have just covered what is important in this lecture, and I hope you will find everything easy. And as I told you, you also are given the chance to ask me direct questions in the direct lectures. We have direct lectures. If you do not understand anything, you are allowed to ask me when we meet, inshallah, in the direct lectures. Thank you so much. راسم خلاص برضو بقى